Terra Dreams ASMR. Hello everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to elaborate on what a zero waste lifestyle means and why I chose to subscribe to a low waste lifestyle and use that terminology instead. So in my introduction video, I mentioned a little bit about zero waste, but I want to take you back to the beginning and where it all started. So originally I decided to become vegetarian, and now I have been vegetarian for two years. So once I became vegetarian, I realized by not consuming meat, especially red meat, I was reducing my carbon footprint, especially because cows and pigs and livestock that's used for red meat is associated with producing large amounts of methane. And methane is a gas that is hazardous to the ozone layer. So once becoming vegetarian, I was realizing that that was a big step for me in terms of living a more eco-friendly lifestyle. And I decided I wanted to go even further. And around, I would say the zero waste lifestyle when I first heard about it, it was with Lauren Singer, Singer. And you might be familiar with Lauren Singer, or you may have heard of her before, because she was first associated with, or as, the girl who fit about 5 or 6 years of trash in a mason jar. So her story was circulating around the media, and that's how I was first heard about the zero waste lifestyle. But actually, the term zero waste emerged even earlier, in the early 2000s. And the thing that's key to understand about zero waste and how it came about, and it's actually one of the core reasons I decided to say that I want to pursue a low waste lifestyle, is because zero waste was originally applied more to industries and their business models for how they are packaging goods for consumers and the waste that they are producing on an industrial level. So with that, it was also encouraged for zero waste that as a consumer, you should try to advocate and pursue means of voicing your concerns to industries about how they can make their products more eco-friendly and their overall business model can aid the earth instead of harming it. So another example of advocacy is voting and understanding who you elect to office at all levels, and also who you support as representatives of businesses and the CEOs of businesses, and overall just trying to educate others about different programs and different ways we, on a national or global level, can reduce our waste, but also change how we view consumerism. So with that being said, and learning about that, I realized that so much of our waste is actually the result of an industrial level instead of necessarily a consumer level. However, this doesn't mean as a consumer you can't make an effort to reduce your waste. So, in terms of industries, the system itself has to be zero waste in order for something as a whole to be zero waste. Because when you think about a product, there's so many different steps involved, from the initial idea to the designing to the production and then to the marketing and finally the distribution when you actually buy the product and it is either delivered to your home or you may pick it up in a store. But at all these steps, there's different sources of waste occurring. So in terms of zero waste, more on an individual or consumer level, I have interpreted it to mean that, as the name suggests, you should try to produce the least amount of waste possible. And then what is waste is things that would end up in a landfill. But also, you have to look at your recycling bin as well. Because when you actually look at the statistics, you realize that only 9% of plastic is actually recycled. Only 9% of plastic is actually recycled. Therefore, zero waste advocates encourage you to get rid of as much plastic in your household as possible, specifically single-use plastic. For example, a plastic water bottle that you may throw away, or frequently at the grocery stores, strawberries, for example, or blueberries may come in a plastic container that you are likely to throw away or recycle instead of reusing. So all of those sources of plastic, even though some of them can be recycled, it's very unlikely in our current system that they will actually be recycled. So in terms of that, it's encouraged not to buy those products, period, or find an alternative that doesn't use plastic. However, in my own experience, I find that recycling aluminum, metal, or glass is perfectly okay, as well as paper, because they have a lot higher rate of actually being successfully recycled and repurposed into something new, instead of plastic, which primarily just ends up in our landfills or in a developing country. So in terms of actually going zero waste, when I first wanted to take the initial steps, I was a little overwhelmed because I realized how much waste I actually produce. Because you have to think about every single room or area of your house and every single habit that you may have a product for. So in order to slowly dwindle out and replace products with a more sustainable option, I decided to focus on a room at a time. So for example, I first chose to do my kitchen because I was moving into a new apartment and I didn't have any kitchen supplies. So in that case, I was starting fresh and I was able to buy kitchen products that would last me a long time, but also reduce my need for single-use items. And then I moved on to my bathroom, specifically the products I use in the shower and the products I use for grooming, such as some hair care products and skincare products. However, being zero waste and transitioning to this lifestyle takes a very long time. Because one component that I would emphasize is the products that you have that aren't sustainable, you shouldn't just throw them away. Because in the end of the day, that itself is leading to waste. So if you have a shampoo that it comes in a plastic bottle, you should use up that shampoo instead of just discarding the product. Not only will that save you money, but that also make sure you actually use the product for what is originally intended instead of adding more waste. Another option, if you don't want to use up the product, is you could give it to friends or family and see if there's anyone else who would gladly accept a slightly used skincare, hair care, possibly makeup product, so you can invest in a package-free or sustainable option. But it is important that in the process of going zero waste, it's okay to take your time and to go at it slowly and to make sure that you aren't being too quick to use up products and in the end wasting your own money. Because even though some zero waste products may be more expensive initially compared to the alternative, the hope is that it will last you longer in most cases, and thus the price will even out over time. A good example of that is a menstrual cup. Menstrual cups tend to retail for around $30, and a package of pads or tampons is much less. Except think about how many times you have to purchase a pack of pads or tampons every year compared to a menstrual cup will last you around 3 years. And so that's a purchase you have to make every 3 years instead of multiple purchases every single year. So there are ways that following a zero waste lifestyle can be a cost-effective alternative and hopefully an affordable option. But again, if there are some products that are more expensive, so that's why it's okay to take your time and save up instead of feeling a pressure to one day or in 1 week be following a zero waste lifestyle. Because in many cases, I don't think that is something that is easily possible. And as I mentioned in my introduction, stress and pressure and anxiety is one of the reasons I chose to use the term low waste lifestyle, because not only, as I mentioned, does zero waste matter on the industrial level as well as the consumer level, but the word zero waste is such a large goal. And for me, I prefer to accomplish little goals over a period of time. I want to take my time and really research the products that I'm buying and buy something that I love, and I love the brand and the design of the product, I want to invest my money into something that I fully support and would be comfortable continuing to use for many years. So that's why I choose to say low waste, because I think there's less stress and pressure, and there's not an ideal of perfection, because as we know right now, with our current situation, life happens, things happen outside of our control. In terms of this pandemic, this has definitely affected my ability to grocery shop in a sustainable manner, because I cannot use reusable bags when I'm checking out my groceries, and I can't use reusable produce bags, as well as my grocery store has stopped providing bulk bins during this time. So most of the products that I could buy without packaging, such as nuts and grains and dried fruit, now only come in single-use packaging that I have to discard when I'm done with if I can't find a way to reuse or upcycle it. So overall, I just believe the term low waste allows more flexibility and understanding that reducing your waste is a long process that requires patience, but also there are things outside of your control that may hinder your ability to fulfill a zero waste lifestyle. And there are so many ways I enjoy trying to reduce my waste. For example, I love thrifting. It's become a favorite activity of mine. I also love composting and realizing how much food waste and food scraps I produce, and how much of that can go back into the earth. I also think gardening and growing your own food is a great option, but if there's certain things you can't grow yourself, farmers markets and local farming and supporting the local farms is a great way to reduce the amount of waste in the food that you buy and reduce the amount of the carbon footprint associated with food production. Overall, in terms of zero waste, I think Anne Marie Benu, also known as the Zero Waste Chef on social media, makes some great quotes about zero waste and understanding the idea and motivation behind it. The first quote she has is, "We don't need a handful of people doing zero waste perfectly. We need millions of people doing it imperfectly." And I think that just gets at the idea that this is a process where it's okay to make mistakes, and also this is a process that may have not originally been intended to be a lifestyle, but more instead something that was implemented on the industrial level. So we're all learning and understanding and finding new alternatives and creative solutions to reducing our carbon footprint. Another quote that she has is, "We may never reach the zero in zero waste, but there's no need to take zero action." So again, I don't think there should be any fear or doubt associated with this. And hopefully this doesn't produce stress or anxiety. And any step you take to reduce your waste is a step in the right direction and something you should be proud of. So if going low waste or zero waste is something that's been on your mind, but it seems very daunting and tedious, break it up into smaller, more achievable, and manageable goals. Because I know that's what I did, and for me, it was a lot more approachable, and I felt like it was a lot more friendly to my budget, and understanding as well that you have to transition out the products that you already have and either find another home for them or use them up. So that does take time and effort. But I think you will be amazed when you actually look at the amount of waste that you produce and the easy little swaps that you can make that can significantly reduce your waste. But again, I think something that is really important is advocacy as well as accountability and holding our industries and corporations and government to a higher standard and encouraging everyone on every level of our society to be more eco-conscious and try to protect the earth, because it gives us so many beautiful things in return. So we should do our best to show it some love and kindness. Anyway, I know this may have not been the most relaxing conversation. I hope this wasn't too serious for you guys and you were still able to relax a little bit. But I just wanted to go a little bit more in depth in explaining what zero waste is and why I choose to follow a low waste lifestyle and why I will 110% support any of you if you also choose to follow a low waste or zero waste lifestyle. I hope that all of you have a very, very good night and that you are feeling relaxed and calm. And I wish all of you a wonderful evening, a wonderful